What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you this game I played on Lichess. This video is more about teaching you tactics and somewhat teach you how to play the Nimso Larsen attack, which is the opening I played on this game. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, wait, hold on. Alright, so here's the game. Of course, to play the Nimso Larsen attack, you need to play b3. So that's what I did. My opponent played d6, which is a strong move that disallows my bishop to attack the pawn on e5 after I play bishop b2, fianchettoing my bishop. And if you're familiar with the Nimzo-Larsen attack, you probably understand that the idea is to attack this pawn and threaten to play bishop b5 in case of the opponent, if the opponent plays knight c6 to capture and then take the pawn on e5. Nevertheless, since the opponent played d6, this pawn is going to be covered by that other pawn behind. Alright, so let's just continue. Of course, I still played bishop b2. My opponent went for a stronger position by first developing the knight, because now the knight doesn't allow my bishop to attack g7, which is also an important thing to keep in mind when you're playing the Nimzo-Larsen attack, because if the opponent were to move the bishop, if this knight wasn't here, then you take on g7 and now the rook is trapped. The game continued with e3, essentially giving space for my bishop to develop. But you'll see why this move was kind of unnecessary. When he played e5, I played g3. Because I knew that moving the bishop here or even here was kind of useless. Why? Well, if I just go here, then my bishop is kind of passive, and the idea is to put it into to attack. So I went bishop g2, fianchettoing my other bishop. Then he went c6 to avoid my bishop attacking on b7. Knight e2, developing my knight and giving my king room for castling. He castles, I castled. He goes queen c7. I go f4 right away for the break. Now, if my opponent were to either advance or take, then now this file is open for my bishop, and essentially I would be better in this position. So, which is why he played bishop g4. But the problem with this is that you play h3, and now the bishop has to move again. I went d3 to gain better control over my side, especially on d4 and e4. Now, if your opponent starts to play nonsense moves, and I say nonsense because this move doesn't do anything at all. What I feel like he would be trying to do is encountering his other bishop, but that's just bad. You essentially move the bishop 3 times in a row, and the third move was to put the bishop back into its original position. So I was definitely advantageous in this position. So now don't focus too much on the moves the opponent does that don't make any sense. Some people would even pay attention to this move and see what it does. But since this is a blitz match and many people also play bullet or blitz, don't even think about moves like this. Now, if you were to think that the bishop could do this, then you're wasting time. And guess what? Some players would even play c4. And the reason why I say some players is because there's always people with some kind of way of thinking. So don't ever think of this move. This move does nothing. Alright? Yes, he can fianchetto the bishop, but that's 3 moves in a row of the same piece. I don't think that's good. Do you? Whatever. Let's just continue. Knight d2, developing my knight, following simple chess rules. I feel more comfortable. I played knight d2. He goes knight from b to d7, developing his knight. The reason why I played king h1 was to bring my knight to g1 and then move it forward to f3. I know this knight could already go there, but the idea was to bring both of my knights to the attack. Goes once again some nonsense moves. I don't understand really what he was trying to do, and I don't think this was a mouse slip. I follow my plan of playing knight g1. He goes b7, now attempting to fianchetto the black bishop. I went queen e2, once again following basic principles of connecting the rooks. Now, don't overthink the opponent's moves. Now, if your opponent does play some weird moves, then just follow basic principles of chess, which are to develop pieces and then connect rooks. He went bishop b7 to fianchetto his bishop. I follow my plan of playing knight f3. He goes rook from f to e8. I go g4. Now, this was a mistake, and now I'm going to give you some time to analyze why this is a mistake. If you don't want any clues, then pause the video right now, because I'm going to give you a clue in order to find the right move. Alright, the reason why this was a mistake is because you need to keep in mind that the rook is X-raying on the queen. So when captures and captures, he could have gone knight takes g4. And if I were to retake bishop h4, and this position is definitely very difficult to play. Now, in order to save my queen, I need to go queen d1, and the idea is likely to play d5 to open up this line for the queen, and then c5 at some point to open up the line for the bishop. That's a lot of pressure if you think about it. I am probably mistaken here because I haven't analyzed his position at all. Nevertheless, my opponent didn't see it, and he went for h6, probably to stop g5 from coming. I played queen f2, playing it safe by putting my queen away from the file that the rook could eventually control. He goes knight h7 to try to stop g5. Then I went h4 to now support this pawn even more. He went for d5, attacking my f4 pawn. So I just moved the knight, and also aiming to go to f5 and put even more pressure on the king side. He pinned my knight, then I went g5, takes. He moves his bishop, but the problem is that this battery is quite strong. So I just played queen takes f7, only move is king g8, h8. Then I went rook from a to e1. He goes rook f8, and then I went queen h5. He exchanged rooks. He goes for this move, and then now I attack his queen. And guess what? This also puts pressure here. So he goes queen d6, f7. He goes rook, knight from d to f6. And guess what? Can you see the right move for white here? That's right. You sacrifice the rook. Rook takes f6, and the checkmate is inevitable. If he goes here, then this is checkmate. Keep in mind that the rook and knight are controlling that square, and the pawn is also controlling that square. So he eventually resigned. Now, this is fairly interesting because, as you can see, my opponent plays some weird moves like this one, but I repeat, and I insist, don't get distracted by moves that don't make any sense. Just continue developing, even though this idea wasn't the best and Stockfish didn't like it. It still follow a decent plan, and that's the whole idea. Alright guys, so this is the video for today. That's the game I wanted to show you. Hope you learned something and some tactics and remember some basic principles. Most people, or even, no, not most people, but a lot of players sometimes completely ignore basic principles just because they want to, attack or play something weird. So I hope you have a great day. God bless you. Read John chapter 14, verse 6, and see you next time.